Hey everyone, it's Kelly, and I've had several requests from teachers, mostly teachers in training, student teachers, to do a session on how I teach a beginner client, a brand new client to Pilates, somebody who's never done this before. And I almost always start them the same way. If they are a true beginner, maybe with some physical ailments or issues, I often start them on the Cadillac, and I realize this is the tower, but this is a better room for me to film in, for you to see. So I'm going to take you through what I generally do with a brand new client to Pilates. This is a way for me to stand and walk around them and evaluate them as they're doing some of these fundamental movements so that I can really get an idea of what their limitations are, their strengths, their weaknesses, and how I can best help them and teach them to do Pilates well. So I always start them on, like I said, or almost always start them on the Cadillac or tower mat because it's a flat, stable surface, and I feel like it's the best way to get them to be able to really become more self-aware, have better proprioception if they're laying or sitting or even standing on a stable surface rather than the moving platform of the reformer. So I start them lying down generally. And if they're very new to Pilates, they don't often even know how to breathe well. So I usually start them with breath work. But I do have them get situated on the mat, kind of wiggle around like I do in all my classes, and remind you guys to move around and make sure you feel centered on the mat. I always tend to spread my fingers out on either side of me on the mat to determine if I'm in the center of it. And then just kind of wiggle around and get settled so that you can really feel the spine along the mat. And then I will tell them to place the hands on the bottom rib cage, and they can have eyes open or closed for this part as they're focusing on the breath. And I'd like you to inhale deeply in through your nose, feeling the fingers spread apart, and then exhale completely through the mouth, feeling the fingers coming towards each other. And again, inhaling deeply, filling the front, side, and back of the lungs, which is a hard concept for people to feel or do or activate, and exhale completely. A few more times, and we may spend a long time on this, it just depends, or at least a lot longer than I'm going to do in this video. And one more time, inhale. And exhale. And then place the hands down by your sides and pretend there's a grapefruit on the ceiling, and we're going to do some nose circles, drawing something about the size of a grapefruit. So with eyes open, closed if necessary, but preferably open. Trace an imaginary grapefruit with the tip of your nose on the ceiling in one direction several times, keeping the head heavy on the mat. And just this movement alone helps me see how their neck moves, even though it's not a very big rotation. Helps me see how well they can sort of organize their brain and their thoughts and their ability to move the body based on what I'm asking them. And you'd be amazed. Sometimes I'll see people doing just this. We're going to reverse the circles. Just this tiny little move, and it doesn't look like the shape of a circle, or I find that for their head to move, they need to also move their legs around, or their toes or their fingers will kind of also do the motion. It's just really interesting how our minds and our nervous system tend to react just to help us move in space. Last one, and then you'll come to center. And then I'm going to have you inhale your arms up to the sky. Palms will face each other for some puppet arms, lifting one hand higher than the other to lubricate the shoulders. And again, I'm watching their whole body, not just their arm movement. I'm looking to see when they move their arms in opposite directions here, do their knees sway? Are they able to stabilize their legs while they're doing this simple arm movement up and down, or not? And breathing, are they able to breathe when they move their arms? That's a very hard thing for a lot of people. They hold their breath. So doing these fundamental exercises is not only good to get them to move the joints, but also to practice the breath work. And then you're going to soften your elbows, rounding them into the shape of hug the tree. Inhale the arms open using your upper back muscles. Exhale the arms hug back towards each other using the chest muscles. So I cue them to use the upper back to open the arms and use the chest to close the arms. And that's a different sensation for a lot of people who maybe don't have good body awareness, to know which muscles are doing the motion. So muscles pull, they don't push. So the back muscles pull the arms open, the chest muscles pull the arms up. Inhale one more time. And exhale the arms up. And then keep your arms to the sky, straighten them up, and place your palm, or have your palms face your legs. Take a big inhale, and as you exhale, lift your head and chest, reach your hands by your hips. And then slowly return back down, inhaling. And you're going to do this several times. And as they're going, I'm walking around them and watching. Are they easily able to lift their neck? Does it hurt? Are they straining? When they curl their head and chest up, do they have to really deeply tuck their pelvis to get that curl through their core? My cue usually is to have them keep their tailbone heavy on the mat and not tuck the pelvis, just to try to segment the body and work the upper abs in a mobile format and stabilize with the lower abs. Last one, exhaling up, inhaling down. Hands come down by the sides. And then there can be a lot more that I will, based on what I'm seeing in them, that I will then move on and teach them from that point with just the upper body stuff. Sometimes we do some different neurological things. Would be too many things to explain right now, but you get the gist. You're just walking around, looking at them, seeing how they move, and seeing if they can isolate their movements or if everything else has to sort of move congruently with the upper body. So now we're going to move on to the lower body, and I'll have you inhale first, then exhale, tuck the pelvis, which can be a lesson in and of itself for a new person, and then continue to peel the hips up into the air, into a bridge position. And then exhale, inhale at the top, exhale, soften behind the heart, and sequentially roll down the spine, bone by bone. And keep going. Now, if this was really hard for someone, I may have to put my hands on their hips to help them know what a tuck is, or a posterior tilt is. And sometimes I don't even have them lift. I will just have them put their hands on their lower pelvis, lower abdomen, and do a tuck and release motion just to get them to feel that. If they have tight hips, this is actually, or a tight low back, this is actually a hard motion for somebody to do. So keep going, bridging up. The other thing I'm watching for is how their hands lay on the mat when they bridge up. If they have tight shoulders, they may bow up their wrists a little bit. So that just gives me a clue as to what's going on up there. The other thing I may see is as they're moving up and down, they may wobble through the pelvis, the knees. I may have to put a ball in between the knees to help them stabilize and engage the inner thighs and pelvic floor. Maybe this is difficult for them to do and breathe at the same time. So we break it down, make it smaller, and talk them through how to breathe when they do this. And I don't often use the breath as a rule. I say in a lot of my videos that I use the breath as a tool. So for some people, it may be easier for them to inhale when they lift their hips and exhale on the way down. For some people, it may be the opposite. They inhale first, they exhale up, and they inhale down. And then they exhale back up. Or for some, maybe it's an inhale first, exhale up, inhale at the top, and exhale down. So it just depends on what they need. And then we're going to find neutral pelvis. So you're going to place your fingertips on your pubic bone, heel of your hands on your hip bones. And I want you to tuck your tail or posteriorly tilt without pressing up into a bridge position so that your pubic bone comes higher than your hips, and then go the other way so that the pubic bone barely lowers lower than the hip bones. And you're just going to rock back and forth like that, passing through center each time, so that in just a moment when we come to stillness, you can find center or neutral pelvis. One more time, anteriorly tilt, tailbone pressing down, hip bones lifting up. Now come to a middle ground or neutral so that the pubic bone and hip bones feel like they're in line or level. And if you had a teacup or coffee cup sitting on your pelvis, on your low abdomen, it would not tilt or spill in any direction, okay? Now, you could keep your hands here for this next portion, or you can lower them to the mat. I'm going to keep them here to remind me to keep my pelvis still. And once I've found neutral, what I do is I squeeze pelvic floor, deep low abdominal muscles in and up to maintain that nice neutral pelvis as I float my right leg up into somewhat of a chair position and down. I tend to not go into a full perfect 90-degree bend or 90-degree chair position. I'm just lifting my thigh up and down. And what I want to notice in myself or in my client, if I'm walking around looking at them, is what happens when they pick up their right leg versus their left leg. Do they really, when they pick up a leg, does the pelvis dump to one side to help them pick up their leg? Do they compensate in any way? Maybe their hip bone hikes up to their rib cage and they kind of do a side bend in their waist to pick up the leg. Maybe their knee tracks inward or outward to pick up the leg. So just being aware, even if you don't know why any of this is happening in someone's body, just noticing what's happening and bringing awareness to that, and just trying to correct and neutralize those little tiny irregularities with just small adjustments, and really body awareness, just bringing awareness to it can really help them to hit into the right muscles. So one more here on the left leg, and then when we put the left one down, maintain neutral. I'm going to bring my hands down. You're going to bring your right leg up into a chair position, left leg using those core muscles. Now this may be harder for a new person to do, but now the left leg is going to come up into position. So now we're going to do toe touches from the top, lowering the right leg. This is where you do want your leg to stay in a 90-degree bend at the knee, and then left leg. And you want to make sure that they're able to press their belly down to the spine to protect their back or spine from moving on and off the mat. And they're just hinging at their hips. Inhaling the leg away, exhaling as it comes up. If they can't do this, you may have to put a block under their feet so that they don't have as far to go to tap the mat or a block. Inhale the right leg down and exhale it up. One more time, left leg goes down and up, and then just hug those knees in. Round the low back, maybe rock side to side. Now, depending on what I see in their hips from this point, I may have them do some leg stretches if I feel like they're really tight. I might have them do some hamstring or IT band or piriformis stretches, all of the above. It just kind of depends. If I see a lot of instability and hypermobility in their pelvis, I'm probably going to go straight into my legs or feet in straps or my side-lying leg series, that kind of thing. Now at this point, if they seem strong enough and capable enough, I will go into teaching them the classical repertoire of the hundreds, maybe roll-ups, maybe the ab series, the series of 5, that kind of thing. It may be modified, it may be the full thing. It just kind of depends on what I'm seeing in the person. If I feel like that's just a no-go, they're maybe not strong enough in their core yet to go there, then I'm going to do more spring type work to get them to have some better body awareness and better proprioception. All right, so instead of going into the ab series and the hundreds and such, let's come on up. This person, I'm going to assume, needs more assistance, more awareness in their body. So I'm going to have them come up and we're going to work on a roll down with the assistance of the roll back bar. So feet against the posts, depending on your machine, they may be able to be parallel or they may have to be turned out. But then they're going to sit with knees slightly bent. Now this may be uncomfortable for somebody. And if it is for you, you can straighten your legs, you could sit yourself up on a pad, or you could potentially bring your legs down over the sides of the machine to be able to sit tall. I'm going to keep my feet up because in just a moment we're going to go into a roll down. But to start, I'm going to teach this person about muscles pulling and not pushing. Once again, where does the action come from? So they press their arms straight down and they lift them up. And I'm going to hand cue them with my hands underneath the armpits in the lat muscle area and remind them that those are the muscles that pull the bar down, and then the top of the shoulders release or lift the bar up. So exhale, pull down, inhale, lift up. 2 more times, activating under those arms, serratus and lat muscles. Last one, getting their neck nice and long, shoulders away from the ears, abs drawn in. Now we're going to do a roll down, taking this bar with us because that's a lot easier than doing the roll up in a mat class. Now you're going to push through your feet, stay looking straight out in front of you for just a moment, and then push through the feet so that automatically helps you sort of scoop the abs, tuck the tail. Keep the head long as you go backwards, thinking about following your head along an imaginary rainbow above you. So I know in Pilates we do a lot of flexion because that is the most common way that our bodies bend, is forward. I just do more of a safe spine technique that I learned years ago, and it's more of a lengthened flexion or extension or rotation side bending rather than a very hyper flexed position. So now I'm laying flat and my eyes are looking up at the ceiling and I'm imagining a rainbow that goes above my head, up and over me and down to my feet. So my eyes are going to follow that imaginary rainbow and I'm going to ride the springs up. Face lifts, eyes follow the rainbow, spine follows the eyes, and the knees bend as I come up. And again, push through those feet, tuck the tail, scoop the belly. Eyes follow the rainbow, therefore the head and spine follow the eyes. And then I push into the bar a little bit to activate the arms and upper back. And then again, eyes follow the rainbow as I come up and over. So notice I'm not really dumping down and compressing my spine or having my neck flex far forward. This is just safer for most people, and it's even safer for me who's been doing Pilates for a long time because I have neck issues and actually thoracic mid-back issues. So this is just a safer way for me to go and to stabilize. And again, push through and round down, lengthen out, And then eyes follow. This is our last one. And up. And depending on the person, I will unlikely teach them extension at this point until I've worked with them a few times. And then let's turn around and lie down on our backs and grab that wooden dowel. You want to be fairly close to the top of the tower or the Cadillac, depending on what you're laying on, because this can get heavy for the arms when you're too far away from the tower. So hands wide on the wooden dowel, roll those shoulders down and back, and then oftentimes when we do that, the ribs will splay apart in the front. So we want to cinch the waist, narrow the ribs, squeeze the abs, and then make sure you're in neutral pelvis. So lots to think about. Take an inhale, and as you exhale, drag your elbows down to the mat next to your hips. This probably feels fairly easy, but if you're doing it properly, it should be somewhat challenging. And what I mean by that is when your arms come down, remembering that muscles pull, they don't push, your back muscles are pulling your elbows down. But that can potentially cause your back to arch. So you have to kind of knit it all together. Now notice when my arms come down, or when your arms come down, that your chest and your collarbones broaden and open up. Keep the width and the broadness in your chest and collarbones, even when you raise your arms up. Don't collapse through the chest, right? So shoulders down and back, shoulder blades flat and wide on the mat. Inhale. Exhale, pull down, open the chest. Keep it open as you raise the arms up. And again, pull down. So what I'm looking for is, can this person move their arms up and down without collapsing through the chest and upper back? Can they keep their collarbones open, maintaining good alignment in the shoulder girdle? Do they push their head heavily into the mat to pull the arms down? You'll see all sorts of things, and just cue them to correct whatever looks like it's improper or unsafe. Last one, when the elbows come down, keep them low and pump that bar towards your leg, little tricep presses, just to add some strength and to get them to be able to keep the chest open while they straighten and bend the arms. Little tricep presses. Last two. Last one, and then arms raise up and palms turn to face the tower. So now you're going to drag the elbows down again. This may be an easier direction because now your humerus bones are externally rotated in the shoulder sockets, allowing the chest to feel a little bit more open naturally. Breathing in and out, really in whatever direction works for you as long as you're breathing. Now, if you want to challenge your abs and you feel like you or the person you're teaching is strong enough to add the legs in a lifted chair position and can maintain good pelvic stability, then by all means, lift the legs. So what I'm looking for is, can they pull the arms down without moving the spine? Can they lift the arms up without collapsing through the chest and narrowing the collarbones? Last one, down and up. When the arms come up, you're going to bicep curl. Exhale, squeeze. Inhale, release. Make sure to hold that isometric squeeze right down there, close to your face with that bar for just a moment or two, and release. You'll see a lot of people trying to use momentum on this and just kind of going too fast. So it's really important to teach control and resistance. Inhaling in one direction, exhaling in the other. Certainly put your legs down if this is bothering your back or your hip flexors. Last one. And release. Place your feet on the mat and turn your palms to face the other way. So we're going to do an exercise called breathing. Normally this is done on the Cadillac with the feet up in the trapeze, but we're doing it here on the tower. So get your feet in good position for a pelvic lift. Drop those arm bones down or integrate them down into the shoulder sockets, flattening and widening the shoulder blades on the mat. Bring your hands directly over your shoulders. Take an inhale and peel your hips up into a bridge position, squeezing your glutes and pelvic floor muscles. Exhale, press your arms down towards your lap, wherever they will go, until that air is out of your lungs. Inhale, float the arms back up. Exhale, roll the body down. And again, tuck, peel, and lift on an inhale through the hips into a bridge. Exhale, pull the arms down, hold until the air is out of your lungs. Inhale, lift the arms up, and then exhale, roll the body down. One more time. Tuck, peel, and lift. Pull the bar down. Inhale the arms up. Exhale the arms down. We're going to do 3 more, this time simultaneously pulling the bar towards the lap as the hips lift up. And we'll hold it at the top for a 5 count. So inhale, tuck your tail, press your arms down all at the same time. Hold your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release simultaneously. And again, inhale, pull it together. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. Be careful not to put a lot of pressure in your head against the mat. Put that pressure in your shoulder blades. And again, inhale, hold, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale, release. You're going to release this bar and then take a moment to drop your knees to the right and head to the left. And then to the other side. And release your stretch. So at this point, I would probably go into Purple Springs feet in straps. Usually I start, if it's a brand new person, with single legs, one at a time. And then maybe if I feel like they're strong enough, I will, after doing a set of single legs, I will do double legs, both feet in the straps. And I usually start with Purple Springs, again, depending on what I'm seeing in them and what their strength appears to be. And so if I don't think they're strong enough, we'll use yellow springs, long yellows. And then after that, if there's time, I may do some arms, single arms, the short yellow springs, triangular handles, maybe double arms, depending. And then maybe the side lying leg series. And so notice all of the stuff that I do in their first session is generally laying on their back, laying supine, lying supine. Again, it just gives them good feedback to be laying on the mat and not up in space where everything can kind of move around. They can feel what their spine is doing with the movement of their arms and legs while they're here on the mat. So that is generally what I do. At some point, I will do this video while I'm teaching maybe a newer person or maybe not a new person and going through this whole thing for you. So I hope this helps though, and I hope you have a good day, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much.